peace, power, and love, once again, sent from above through the breath of life and energy that keeps us in this realm, in this dimension, with purpose, with intention of developing our spirits and our souls and our temples, our thinking, our mentality, our culture, our people, everything about us. We should be in an effect of elevation, stimulation, and motivation to reach higher heights within ourselves, to promote peace, love, and understanding in our community. Once again, before the sun rises, Blackanized, Nubian, international consciousness, conscious chess moves, with your host, Humam Abdulmalik, to motivate, stimulate, and instigate a reaction of thinking, of motivation, of elevation, of developing our community, of the community of self, our divine energy within this temple, then from there our family, and then community, from the community to the nation, from the nation to the global essence of our connection in the synergy of developing a holistic reality that we can do. It's not unrealistic. It's realistic if we do it. We just gotta, like we network on local, immediate things, we just gotta expand that and become, through our innerverse, through understanding, to have a effect upon the universe. Today, I just want to share with us my feelings about myself. I want to say Hotep Ashe, Salaam Alaikum, peace, peace, Shalom to those that join in this synergy, this movement, so to say. It is a movement of energy, of divine energy, to connect this energy to develop locally, nationally, globally, as I said, as human beings. I said human beings. And we as human beings that are conscious, that have been stimulated and motivated to open ourselves up beyond the five senses, and to dwell into our divine nature, to come up out of that animalistic or predatory nature that has been socially engineered and is being socially engineered every day with these people that be in the high echelons of society. I will say the government and their plans, their 10-year plans, 20-year plans, 50-year plans, because they're always planning, because they're trying to get somewhere, that they plan to get to a phase of what they say a new world order. And we have to accept the fact that that's what they're doing through social narcotics, white supremacy and institutionalized racism, and also affect us and inject us with this Willie Lynch syndrome. And that's the reality. And we don't want to face the reality a lot. A lot of us that's in the positions of leadership or whatever, we don't want to call a geese a gander, or we don't want to say that we suffer from the social narcotics of white supremacy, institutionalized racism in this society, from the educational, spiritual, and all avenues, or all avenues of learning or whatever, from the institutionalized religious aspect, from the institutionalized academic aspect, because these people, they control all those avenues of our learning and our development. And that's the social narcotics, because what we're being taught is against our nature, or what we have been taught is against our nature. And it just ain't just happened. This has been generation after generation after generation. Even all the like the drug selling and the killing of each other by our young youth and young adults, that is socially engineered, because we don't manufacture the drugs that come into our community. We don't manufacture or make the guns that come in our community. Those come from without our community into the community, and it's on a large scale. And who has the ability to do that but the people that control those fields of where the plant is grown, like Afghanistan or wherever, the poppy plant, or in South America, the cocoa plant. Who has the ability to control those land masses, and also the ability to transport huge amounts of this drug into this country? And it's a proven fact that the FBI did it one time during the 60s, during the era of mindset or spiritual awakening, or awakening with unity and endeavor of a revolutionary, evolutionary process that we went through as a people. The FBI, with J. Edgar Hoover, influx a large amount of heroin to stop that movement. Then after that, when they needed some money to stop so-called communists in a South American country, they ain't had nothing to do with our country, they infused large amounts of cocaine in our country. Then we had the crack epidemic. And it's a proven fact that they talked about these things in the Senate and their government, and the government knew what was going on, but they said it was a need for it. It was a need to debilitate us as a people. So sometimes we go to the enemy to get help from the enemy, which is not sound. It's not sound. And we do it all the time. We assimilate. And once we assimilate, we integrate. When we integrate, we come like part of the mainframe. All the information coming from the mainframe, or cyborg for those who look at Star Trek or whatever. Everybody's just doing the same thing. And we're being programmed in a lot of areas of our life. We're being programmed for a genderless society. We're being programmed to sexually go against nature, but it's all right. And then you offend people when you talk about it. But see, the offense is you need to be offended so that maybe you can wake up, so we can stop this transgression against ourselves and against nature, against a natural divine audience that we should not do. And I like to say assalamu alaikum to my brother Basil, a great individual, a great brother, a Muslim brother, a great activist in the community. And he made a statement that was talking about our youth to develop. We got to help our youth to develop, to be successful adolescents, and try to teach provision instead of preparation. I think so, because what we're doing now is like a lot of our people or leaderships. And I'd like to also say something about what Vernon Coleman said. He said, U.S. Army is, that's right, I just mentioned that, guarding the poppy fields in Afghanistan and probably the cocoa fields in South America. But the thing is, the leadership now, the killings got to stop in our community. And the only way they will stop is the ones that's doing it has to stop it. We have to approach them, talk to them, and bring them together and ask them why they against each other and they know each other and all that. They'll say it's the money, or they got to feed, the family, and they got to eat. That's just the statement. That's the universal statement across the country, because all the killings in Chicago, brother said the same thing up there. But the thing is, if we, the leadership, talking about getting jobs and programs to, quell that, then we got to bring the people that's doing it in our communities. We know who we're doing it more so than the police, because we live in the community. We got firsthand sight and observation. And so, but it's like the ones that's killing, they need to be brought to justice. And the justice is the justice. But I'm not promoting for slave catchers to come into our community and then not the ones that kill, but the other people that's in there that's selling drugs or whatever may be a potential murder. Them the ones we gotta catch, the ones who haven't committed murder, because it's and we need to deal with that situation. And that situation can only be dealt with by us dealing with it firsthand, face to face, with our young adults and the young people that's caught up in their animalistic predatorial nature, and bring them to the table face to face with each other, and let them see that what they're doing is a harmful deterrent to the growth of the community, to the growth of our connection spiritually and culturally, and that they are a most pertinent fact or pertinent part of the development of our community, of guarding our community, of protecting our community against those that come from out of our community. Don't you know it's a rise in missing youth? And this is an epidemic now. It haven't been this way before, right in the inner cities, not in Washington, D.C. It was like on the outskirts where it's like 800,000 missing women, 800,000 mixture of men, women, and children. And I say it's for body parts and sex rings or whatever, but it haven't been on this scale that it is right in the inner city. Brother Yango Soy Il, another strong brother, activist in the community, he has shown, like, day after day after day, the police has a report of missing children in our community. So we need our vigilant eye of everybody in our community to watch and protect our children. That's another epidemic in our community. And what are they being missing for? Never being seen again for years. And hopefully people, they have they will and they pray that their children are still alive. And I do the same. But the reality is they shouldn't have never been taken out of our community. We have to develop a guardianship out of our community. And we have to go back to our concept of African spirituality, where it takes a village to raise a child. We must protect our village. We got to get back in the concept of unity, of understanding who we are. And on that note, I'd like to say that we have to keep our word that we give to people, because the word is the bond. And our word is our only thing. The word is our contract to keep us in harmony and peace. I'm saying this for me. I'm saying this for about me. I'm saying this a situation that I endured. But it's cool. I just want to put it in the universe that the word is the essence of everything. Once you give your word, that is a contract that you sign. And also I want to say that I ask forgiveness of all the people, and I ask myself first for forgiveness of people that I may have hurt in my lifetime. I ask the Creator to forgive me in any way, form, or fashion that I hurt anybody, intentionally or unintentionally. I ask their forgiveness. I ask those that are involved with me to forgive me for my actions against them. See, I don't want to use anybody that may have or may do render to me whatever they can, and I don't return it in due fashion, because my mind or spirit may be on another level. I just want to say that, and I want to put that in the universe, and that right now I'm at a point in my life that I'm just a servant of the Creator. And how I serve the Creator is by serving the people. See, I don't have a large platform or anything like that. I'm not a celebrity. I don't have a lot of money. But I speak the truth from my divine, say, education or enlightenment on the pathway of my ancestors, that I believe what I speak, and I speak to be the truth. I don't speak to like from an emotional perspective to rile you up and all that. I speak from a rational point of view, from this plain and simplistic, natural stimulation or motivation, not try to get you all riled up emotionally and all that, and have you all emotionally up or riled and keep you up there in the cloud. But if we on an equal level, and my words of truth are not about emotionalism, but my words of truth are about a rational thinking, a natural simplistic thinking. My words of truth come from a divine nature that's in me, that's in my temple, of years of study and years of experience, of my 60 revolutions around the sun, and going through a lot of things, coming out of the cesspool of life and changing my life from going to college and attaining a PhD in streetology from SWU, and going through spiritual classes or rooms of learning, of understanding, Islamically, being a spiritual guide or leader a couple of times with the title of an imam or whatever, and having learned that way of life. Then also when my kundalini and my chakra centers were energized and energy was infused in me to give me clarity and enhance my clarity beyond my five senses to, they say, open your third eye or whatever. To experience that is an experience of a lifetime, like going to Africa or making a Hajj. Those experiences I also had too, which was life-changing experiences. But my indoctrination of all the informations and stuff that I learned over the years wasn't nothing like when I had the feeling of this energy coming into me, infusing me with clarity and just giving me a feeling of euphoria that I couldn't explain, because I hadn't been high in years. Since 1985 is the last time I smoked a cigarette, drunk a beer, smoked a J, or any of that. And before that, I dropped a couple of tabs, but that particular day, that's the type of feeling I had, and I was saying, how could that be? And then to understand that it was, for whatever reason, my third eye opened, and for whatever reason, it was by divine decree. For whatever reason, it was on the pathway of my ancestors. And so that's where I be at now. And that's where I strive at now. And that's where the pathway of my ancestors in tune with African spirituality, even though Islam, Christianity, and Hebrew, and all other way of life is cool. But if it doesn't bring us to a sphere of unification, bringing us together, then to me, the coolness is not cool. Because if there's only one creator, one essence, then it should bring us together. It should not keep us separated. That's just in my humble opinion. And who am I? I'm just one of the, 7 billion, almost 8 billion people on the planet Earth. And that's my perception that I perceive from the degrees of life that I have reached and the levels of understanding of my divine essence in the temple, in the chambers of the pyramids of my mind. See, I have to go black to the ancient future, because if I don't, I'll be denying my story or our story as a people. I can't be defined in 2017 years when I know it took longer than that for us to build pyramids, and it was beyond that time. I know that things existed before that time. I know in the Nicene Council of 325 AD is when they established this thing called Christianity. It's biblical fact that Constantine brought bishops together, like 353 of them, and went and created this concept of Trinity and all that. Even the word Jesus, the J wasn't out until the 2015 or 1600s. So everything is good when you bring goodness out of it, but the reality of it, you got to deal with the truth, the foundation of truth. And our foundation goes beyond the concept of Christianity and also Islam. That's why we got to go back into the ancient future and deal with the concept of our deities and our understanding of natural, simplistic practices of ancient Kemet and Nubia and Kush. And we got to go back to the Dungo and all those African, like Timbuktu, the largest library. And there's another one in Morocco, the largest library on the planet, that comes from us, that stems from us as human beings. But our story has been distorted. And we are scared to say what it's from, what it stems from. It stems from the social narcotics of white supremacy and institutionalized racism. And also, we've been affected by the Willie Lynch syndrome. And this ain't just started. It's been going on for years since our indoctrination in the captivity. A lot of us come out of the mental slavery and become, mentally free. But a lot of us come out of the mentally slavery and we become integrated, or we emulate the European to such an extent that we become Negropean. We don't take on the character of our culture or spirituality. We assimilate, integrate to the degree that that's what we become. See, integration was more harmful than anything to us as a people. When we were separated, we had Wall Streets. We had our own economical systems. And they got jealous of that and they bombed them. The one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Smallwood, Florida, and stuff. They came and destroyed it through lies and deception because we were doing better than them. And now they got us caught up in their system of hypocrisy, of politics, by politicians that's supposed to be about the people, but they're magicians in their back rooms of what? Masonic tribunals and all that, stemming from the Vatican all the way down. But that's a discussion of another topic another day. And I just want to read something from my Kemetic soulism that I fell in love with, and I just want to read. It says 6 Kemetic tenets, and the first is the original Kemetic concept that expanded to African ancestral traditions. Simply meant that Neter, God, was in all living things, and that all living things were images of Neter, or God, in the image of their earthly habitation. Therefore, humanity should associate themselves with all living images of God in some learning or development capacity. 2. Now, because everything material, physical, and biological was created from the spiritual sensory formulated by Neter, by nature, the respect given to the material, when I say Neter, I'm saying God. This way, the respect given to the material, spiritual, and biological must be equivalent to the reverence given to God. This way, if you respect it, you don't abuse it. The practice of appreciation strengthens the mentality of the African and proliferates the earthly stability of the material. 3. When you understand and spirituality respect God or Neter's activation of your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, etc., you go the extra mile to safeguard it. You support its existence by maintaining a diet of holistic natural nutrients that in turn sustain the body's protein balance. 4. When you have understanding and respect for your extended African family, you are not capable of violating them. I'm going to read that again. 4. When you have understanding and respect for your extended African family, you are not capable of violating them. When you have admiration for the animal kingdom, because you understand your spiritual genealogical connection with them, you don't violate or exploit or abuse animals. 5. When you have understanding and respect for water, Nu, Ash, Shu, earth, sea, because you acknowledge it as extension of Nestor, God, you don't pollute it. 6. Religion requires one to leave self and dwell in space. I'll read that again. Religion requires one to leave self and dwell in space. Faith, belief, somewhere. But believe me that space will be nowhere in sight when the personified soul is raised for judgment. The African expression of self-appreciation, appreciation for Nada's physical creation, as well as the expression of understanding of their esoteric connectedness to Nata, God, combined with the everyday practice of that expression, has formed a conducive African social pattern that is classified as culture. The equation becomes expression of appreciation of God, the behavior practice of that expression, ma'at, equals culture. The behavior, application, and practice of culture keeps the African cohesively connected to the nectar God on every spiritual, psychological, biological, mental, and physical front. First and foremost, culture has absolutely nothing to do with human reaction to changing external determinants such as climate, vegetation, external force or enforce, governmental or social condition. Culture is strictly spiritual, esoteric behavior that extends from God, activated, conceptualized through Ma'at, Kemetism, or Nubian, or Kushite. If behavior ceases to reflect Neta's conceptualization, thought for African humanity, culture is automatically broken, because culture, the only humanistic mechanism that fully connects Neta God and the African human, and is therefore appropriate to conclude that an African without culture is an African spiritually and humanistically dead. I just read that because it's dealing with African spirituality, not to take nothing away from anything. But as I said, we must go back to our beginnings. And if we in the doorway, in the classroom or way of life of Islam, Christianity, or Hebrew Israelite, or whatever we be, Jewish or Hindu or whatever, and if not bringing us together as humanity, then it's giving us a disservice, because it's about unification, bringing us together. So we got to come out this dilemma of the 2017 and the concepts that it bring 400 or 500 years of that we was in captivity, and in that captivity we was beaten, raped, lynched, and set on fire to adhere to indoctrination that said that we should obey our masters as though the masters were God. And it's in the Bible, and it's in there because I seen it. And then that's a misconception about man obeying man to get to God, and suffer all the things that man done to us, and we accept it or be pacified to accept it. We have to get out of that mentality, that state of mind. We have to come together and unify on the lines of African spirituality here in America and everywhere on the planet Earth. We have to come together, because it's a worldwide epidemic of these Neanderthals, Europeans, troglodytes, or whatever you want to call these Caucasians, white Anglo-Saxons or whatever. And they're not, see, it's the higher ups that got everybody under robot control, more so we get the most of that robot control because they know who we are. That's why they got all our information under the Vatican, miles of subterranean tunnels under the Vatican, 50 miles or so, they say, of information that come from us, relics that come from Akabulan and Nubia and all that pertain to us in our spirituality. And if we know that, then we will be woke up. We will look and say that all these lies over all these years and time, they have been keeping from us and deceiving us. They have taken the truth and turned the truth into lies and fabrications and distortions, and have us falling in that line, integrating in their concepts of spirituality and culturality. And when really, in reality, it's a finality, a fatality for us. It's killing us and having us in a mental state of death, a spiritual state of death. Our growth and development is in our hands as a people. And as I said before, people must keep their word, because the word is their bond. And as I said, I'm only one insignificant person out of what, 7 or almost 8 billion people on this planet Earth. But I dwell in a spirit of truth. I accept who I am as a black man, as a human, divine man, bio-electrical being. Energy, the spirit that's in this temple is me. This right here is how you identify me. You identify me through my physical attributes and what I convey from my mindset. That's how you identify me. But to really know me is to know God, because I am part of the energy of the Creator. And to know yourself is to know God. And that's what we have to do. We have to energize on that thought and be who we are. And don't be brought or dissuaded from that thought. That we are part and parcel of this universal energy that they call God. But it's the universe first. And it's through understanding that we accept the fact that us being black and melanated and spiritual. And we got to unify. Because we're in a dilemma, we're in a realm, a dimension of deception, that these people have been able to come into facts that belong to us and manipulate them, manipulate the frequencies and vibrations and the sounds and music and all that to affect us, and also to be master of mass mind control and psychological warfare and all these things that are negative energy, but we can't see it because it's so subtle, you know. But we got to realize it and become spiritual beings in this physical world and develop through harmony and peace and love for ourselves. We got to bring people to justice that need justice brought to them. But we can't just allow slave catchers to come in our community to know that the prisons are for profit. The prisons are not for penitence like they once were. Prisons are for profits, and it's a big business on the state level and the federal level. We got to know that. So we got to reach our children. The ones that's killed and took a life, we got to deal with that aspect. But it's another group of them that's behind the killers that we can reach. And all like they say, they want to eat. So on a local level, national level and all that, we got to give them that, what they need. Because if they don't, they're going to be manipulated and continue to play the games of copper robbers and be at war with each other. A silent war that's being manipulated by outside hand and force. And we just got to be real. We got to know the real enemy and accept the fact, what it is. It's the system that we live under. It's a system of manipulation, fraudulent laws and all that. We can't be scared to speak the truth, because the truth is a matter of fact. And it's a matter of fact that it got to come from the blackness of your thoughts. It got to come from the reality of the divine essence. And with that I say peace, love, and power, spiritual, African spirituality, the essence of everything, the essence of our culture growth, of our economical growth, of getting back to the concept that it takes a village to raise a child. And all those with all the activists in our community come together. And I mean, it's about the money, so to say, but it's about the money to give to our young soldiers and warriors to open them up to another way, so they ain't got to, what they got to eat. So they ain't got to eat the way they got to do from the street. Give them something constructive, tangible, that can open them up in a way of we unifying, bringing our community holistic together, being an example, being a community that can be an example for the rest of the communities if we just do it. And it can be done. One mind at a time, one body at a time, a ripple effect. So tell somebody you love them. Tell them how great they are. And all the things that we say that I didn't get a chance to comment on, they're definitely on point. Brother Coleman, Brother Basil, and my lovely daughter is watching, running once again. She's bringing new life into this world, becoming more conscious of herself and her surroundings. We're supposed to walk today because she can't run. Well, maybe we'll start that program soon, because I want to get back out there and run, but I'm going to walk with her. And everybody else, stay black, stay informed, be part of the movement to develop spiritually, mentally, physically, and economically and culturally for us as a people to get on the next side of this political climate that we're in. And be watchful in our communities, because there's a lot of stuff going on in our communities. A lot of our children are being snatched. We got to watch and see whatever's not supposed to or don't fit in our community, watch that element. And be protective of each other. Peace. Love, y'all.